Okay, today is 28th of August, and we are on this chapter 47 of the Samyutta Nikaya, Satipatthana Samyutta. So now we come to Sutta 47.9. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Vesali in Baluva Gammaka. There the Blessed One addressed the monks thus: "Come monks, enter upon the reins wherever you have friends, acquaintances and intimates in the vicinity of Vesali. I myself will enter upon the reins right here in Baluva Gammaka." "Yes, Venerable Sir," those monks replied, and they entered upon the reins wherever they had friends, acquaintances and intimates in the vicinity of Vesali, while the Blessed One entered upon the reins right there in Baluva Gammaka. Well, this stop here to mention the entering upon the reins means to reside in one place for 3 months and not to go anywhere unless it's important, and even if it's important, a monk can only leave it for not more than 6 nights. That's during the rain season in India. And when the Blessed One had entered upon the reins, a severe illness arose in him, and terrible pains bordering on death assailed him. But the Blessed One endured them, collected and mindful, without becoming distressed. Then the thought occurred to the Blessed One: "It is not proper for me to attain final Nibbana without having addressed my attendants and taken leave of the Bhikkhu Sangha. Let me then suppress this illness by means of energy and live on, having resolved upon the life conditioner." Then the Blessed One suppressed that illness by means of energy and lived on, having resolved upon the life conditioner. Stop here for a moment. This life conditioner is Jivita Sankhara. Jivita is life, Sankhara is conditioner. So, life conditioner probably is the vital energy. In Chinese is Qi. So we use energy, mental energy, to get the Qi going. The Blessed One then recovered from that illness. Soon after he had recovered, he came out from his dwelling and sat down in the seat that had been prepared in the shade behind the dwelling. The Venerable Ananda then approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side and said, "It's splendid, Venerable Sir, that the Blessed One is bearing up. Splendid that he has recovered. But Venerable Sir, when the Blessed One was ill, my body seemed as if it were drugged. I had become disoriented. The teachings were not clear to me. Nevertheless, I had this much consolation, that the Blessed One would not attain final Nibbana without having made some pronouncement concerning the Bhikkhu Sangha." And the Buddha said, "What does the Bhikkhu Sangha now expect from me, Ananda? I have taught the Dhamma, Ananda, without making a distinction between inside and outside. The Tathagata has no close fist of a teacher in regard to the teachings. If, Ananda, anyone thinks I will take charge of the Bhikkhu Sangha, or the Bhikkhu Sangha is under my direction, it is he who should make some pronouncement concerning the Bhikkhu Sangha. But, Ananda, it does not occur to the Tathagata, I will take charge of the Bhikkhu Sangha, or the Bhikkhu Sangha is under my direction. So why should the Tathagata make some pronouncement concerning the Bhikkhu Sangha? Now I am old, Ananda, aged, burdened with years, advanced in life, come to the last stage. My age is now turning 80. Just as an old cart keeps going by a combination of straps, so it seems the body of the Tathagata keeps going by a combination of straps." Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha says, I have taught the Dhamma without making a distinction between inside and outside. Maybe it means like we Chinese we say, Lai ka gua la, Lai sun gua sun, Loi sin, ngoi sin. So like there's no special inside clique of disciples and outside disciples. He treats them all the same. And here, see, the Buddha says, the Tathagata has no close fist of a teacher. In other words, he does not keep back anything. This contradicts the Mahayana, because the Mahayana, the founder of the Mahayana Buddhism, this Longsu Pusa, Nagarjuna, he came up with a lot of new sutras. So in his biography, he was asked, how come previously there were no such sutras? Now you say that all these are the words of the Buddha. So he said the Buddha hid all these books in the dragon palace in the ocean. And he went to the dragon palace and took out all these secret teachings, Mahayana teachings. He said they were too high for the Buddha's disciples. It's a bit ridiculous that present-day people can understand the Mahayana, the Buddha's disciples cannot understand the Mahayana. So the Buddha here says he has no close fist of a teacher, so he never hid any of his teachings. Furthermore, during the Buddha's time there were no books, so how could he have hidden the books in the ocean? Whenever Ananda, by non-attention to all signs and by the cessation of certain feelings, the Tathagata enters and dwells in the signless concentration of mind. On that occasion, Ananda, the body of the Tathagata is more comfortable. Therefore, Ananda, dwell with yourselves as your own island, yourselves as your own refuge, with no other refuge. Dwell with the Dhamma as your island, with the Dhamma as your refuge, with no other refuge. Stop here for a moment. So the Buddha says that when the body gives him a lot of pain, then he enters into this samadhi where the feelings cease and dwells in the signless concentration of mind. It's a very high samadhi, a very high state of meditation. So here the Buddha says, dwell with yourself as your own island. But I think the Pali text society is, therefore Ananda, be a lamb unto yourselves, be a refuge unto yourselves with no other refuge. Take the Dhamma as your lamb, take the Dhamma as your refuge with no other refuge. And how Ananda does a monk dwell with himself as his own island, with himself as his own refuge, with no other refuge. With the Dhamma as his island, with the Dhamma as his refuge, with no other refuge. Here Ananda, a monk dwells contemplating the body in the body, ardent, recollected, mindful, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. He dwells contemplating feelings in feelings, mind in mind, Dhamma in Dhamma, ardent, recollected, mindful, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. Those monks, Ananda, either now or after I am gone, who dwell with themselves as their own island, with themselves as their own refuge, with no other refuge, with the Dhamma as their island, with the Dhamma as their refuge, with no other refuge. It is these monks, Ananda, who will be for me topmost of those keen on the training. That's the end of the sutta. So you see, the Buddha was almost going to pass away, but he resolved to live on. Then he continued to live on. In some other sutta, the Buddha also said that if we also experience that state where we feel that life is coming to an end, if possible, we should cling to life. Because the Buddha says this human body is hard to come by, and this human body, only in this human body we can really practice the Dhamma. If you are in heaven, you don't want to practice because you want to enjoy. You don't see any dukkha. And if you are in the woeful plains, even you want to practice, also cannot practice. So it's only in this human life. So the Buddha says we should cling on to life and make the best use of our time. A lot of us, we tend to waste our time. We think that either we think we'd have a lot of time, or most likely a lot of people never think whether they have time or no time. They're so busy, caught up with all the worldly affairs, trying to enjoy, that they never give it a thought. It's like some people, they're not interested in religion, they say they are free thinkers. They're not really free thinkers, they are non-thinkers. So, people, we waste our time. If we only know how many years we have left, we won't really waste our time. So the Buddha says that we should be a lamb unto ourselves, be a refuge unto ourselves with no other refuge. And we should take the Dhamma as our lamb, the Dhamma as our refuge and no other refuge. In other words, we should depend on our own efforts and on the Buddha's teachings. I always say that the Buddha's teachings is complete and perfect. There's no need to look for any other teacher. Everything that you want to know about the holy path is all in the 4 Nikayas, plus the 6 books of the Khuddaka Nikaya. Only thing is, if you're not sure on some of the explanation, you can look for Kalyana Mita, a spiritual friend, spiritual guide to guide you. But the main teacher is the Buddha's words in the Nikayas. The next sutta, 47.10. Then in the morning, the Venerable Ananda dressed, and taking bowl and robe, he approached the bhikkhuni's quarters, the nuns' quarters, and sat down in the appointed seat. Then a number of bhikkhunis or nuns approached the Venerable Ananda, paid homage to him, sat down to one side and said, "Here, Venerable Ananda, a number of nuns, dwelling with their minds well established in the 4 intense states of recollection, perceive successively loftier stages of distinction." In other words, they have made great progress in the holy path. Venerable Ananda said, "So it is, sisters, so it is. It may be expected of anyone, sisters, whether monk or nun, who dwells with a mind well established in the 4 intense states of recollection, that such a one will perceive successively loftier stages of distinction." Then the Venerable Ananda instructed, exhorted, inspired and gladdened those nuns with the Dharma talk, after which he rose from his seat and left. Stop here for a moment. In the monks' Vinaya and the nuns' Vinaya, every 2 weeks on the Uposatha day, the monks have to recite the precepts, the Patimokkha. And then the nuns have to get Dhamma instruction from a senior monk, preferably one with at least 20 years as a monk. So here, that's why the Venerable Ananda must have gone to the nuns' quarters with another monk. So after giving the Dhamma teaching, he left. Then the Venerable Ananda walked for alms in Savatthi. When he had returned from the alms round, after his meal he approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side and reported all that had happened. The Blessed One said, "So it is, Ananda, so it is. It may be expected of anyone, Ananda, whether monk or nun, who dwells with a mind well established in the 4 intense states of recollection, that such a one will perceive successively loftier stages of distinction. But for, here Ananda, a monk dwells contemplating the body in the body, ardent, clearly aware, recollected, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. While he is contemplating the body in the body, there arises in him, based on the body, either a fever in the body, or sluggishness of mind, or the mind is distracted outwardly. That monk should then direct his mind towards some inspiring sign. When he directs his mind towards some inspiring sign, gladness is born. When he is gladdened, delight, piti is born. When the mind is uplifted by delight, the body becomes tranquil. One tranquil in body experiences happiness. The mind of one who is happy becomes concentrated. He reflects thus, the purpose for the sake of which I directed my mind has been achieved. Let me now withdraw it. Stop here for a moment. It's quite a mouthful to digest. So the Buddha here is trying to explain the 4 intense states of recollection, the 4 Satipatthanas. So the Buddha says, monk dwells contemplating the body in the body. And when he is contemplating the body in the body, that means his attention is all on the body. It is not among other thoughts or any other thing. The body, only in the body. Focus on the body. There arises in him either a fever in the body. This fever is a disturbance and uncomfortableness in the body. There's the fever in the body. Or sluggishness of mind, sloth and torpor. Or the mind is distracted outwardly, going out towards the senses. Then that monk should direct his mind towards some inspiring sign. This inspiring sign is something that the mind likes. Just like yesterday we talked about the cook. The cook, he has to notice what his master likes to eat. So he should serve his master what kind of food the master likes to eat. So in the same way, we have to see what the mind likes. So here we direct the mind to some object of meditation that the mind finds inspiration in, that the mind likes. So if you choose a meditation object that the mind is inclined towards, then gladness is born. And following gladness, you have piti, delight. Then after delight, the body becomes tranquil. And then the body experiences happiness. And then when the body has piti, delight, and sukha, happiness, the mind becomes concentrated. Here when it says the mind becomes concentrated, that means he has attained the first jhana. First jhana is accompanied by this. First jhana is accompanied by this piti and sukha. Then he reflects, the purpose for the sake of which I directed my mind has been achieved. What is this purpose? The purpose of his meditation or practicing the Satipatthana is to attain the jhanas. That is clear in the earlier suttas we read. So since he practiced Satipatthana to attain the jhanas, so now he knows the purpose for the sake of which I directed my mind has been achieved. The first jhana has been achieved. So he says, now he thinks, let me now withdraw it. So he withdraws the mind and does not think or examine his vitaka and vichara. He does not have this thought directed and sustained. He understands, without thought directed and sustained, internally mindful, I am happy. Here. So just now in the first jhana has 5 factors. Vitaka, vichara, which is thought directed and sustained. And then piti, delight, sukha, happiness, and ekagata, one-pointedness of mind. So now, having attained the first jhana, he's happy, he has achieved the purpose of his practice of Satipatthana, which is to attain the first jhana. So having attained the first jhana, now he withdraws his vitaka and vichara. He has all these 5 factors. When the 5 factors are strong, then he withdraws this vitaka and vichara. How to withdraw? Instead of putting the attention on the breath, he puts the attention on piti and sukha. Because the piti and sukha become stronger, then he can change his object. His object from the breath, he changes to this happy and delightful feeling, perception. So when he does that, he does not pay attention to the breath anymore. Then he attains the second jhana. So without thought directed and sustained, internally mindful, I am happy. So he has attained the second jhana. Again, a monk dwells contemplating feelings in the same way. Mind in mind, Dhamma in Dhamma, ardent, recollected, mindful, having removed covetousness and grief in regard to the world. While he is contemplating Dhamma in Dhamma, there arises in him, based on Dhamma, either a fever in the body or sluggishness of mind, or the mind is distracted outwardly. The monk should now direct his mind towards some inspiring sign. When he directs his mind towards some inspiring sign, gladness is born, and after gladness, rapture, after rapture, tranquility, and after that, happiness, etc. He understands, without thought directed and sustained, internally mindful, I am happy. It is in such a way, Ananda, that there is development by direction. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha calls this development by direction. Development normally is bhavana. Bhavana is actually development of mind. But development of mind, bhavana, has become synonymous with meditation. So here the Buddha says there is bhavana with direction. He directs his mind first to vitaka, vichara, that is the direction of mind to his object of meditation, and after that he withdraws from there and directs it to that piti and sukha. And how Ananda is there development without direction, not directing his mind outwardly. Among understands, my mind is not directed outwardly. Then he understands it is unconstricted after and before, liberated, undirected. Then he further understands, I dwell contemplating the body in the body, ardent, clearly aware, recollected, I am happy. Not directing his mind outwardly, among understands, my mind is not directed outwardly. Then he understands it is unconstricted, after and before, liberated, undirected. Then he further understands, I dwell contemplating feelings in feelings, ardent, clearly aware, recollected, I am happy. Similarly, for the other practice, that is mind in mind and Dhamma in Dhamma. It is in this way, Ananda, that there is development without direction. So here the Buddha says, instead of directing the mind to an outside object of meditation, he does not direct it outwardly. In other words, it's directed inwardly. Then here probably means he attains the third jhana. Then it's stated here, it is unconstricted after and before. Unconstricted, the meaning is it is without sloth and torpor. This you can find on page 1737. There's an explanation in another sutta about this unconstricted. And after and before, it's probably before he started to meditate and after he started to meditate. That means all the time. So that is development without direction. Thus Ananda, I have taught development by direction. I have taught development without direction. Whatever should be done, Ananda, by a compassionate teacher, out of compassion for his disciples, desiring their welfare, that I have done for you. There are the feet of trees, Ananda. These are empty huts. Meditate, Ananda. Do not be negligent, lest you regret it later. This is our instruction to you. This is what the Blessed One said. Elated, the Venerable Ananda, delighted in the Blessed One's state. This word meditate, do not be negligent. This word meditate is also, you can say, cultivate jhana. Cultivate jhana, Ananda, because in the Buddha's Discourses, meditation is cultivating jhana. That's the only type of meditation the Buddha praised. First, second, third and fourth jhana. Okay, the next sutta is 47.12. It's also quite an interesting sutta. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Nalanda in Pavarika's mango grove. Then the Venerable Sariputta approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side and said, Venerable Sir, I have such confidence in the Blessed One that I believe there has not been, nor ever will be, nor exists at present another ascetic or brahmana more knowledgeable than the Blessed One with respect to enlightenment. And the Buddha said, lofty indeed is this bellowing utterance of yours, Sariputta. You have roared a definitive, categorical lion's roar. Venerable Sir, I have such confidence in the Blessed One that I believe there has not been, nor ever will be, nor exists at present another ascetic or brahmana more knowledgeable than the Blessed One with respect to enlightenment. Have you now, Sariputta, encompassed with your mind the minds of all the Arahants, Sammasambuddhas, arisen in the past and known thus? These Blessed Ones were of such virtue, of such qualities, or of such wisdom, or of such dwellings, or of such liberation. And he said, no, Venerable Sir. Then Sariputta, have you encompassed with your mind the minds of all the Arahants, Sammasambuddhas, who will arise in the future, and known thus? Those Blessed Ones will be of such virtue, of such qualities, of such wisdom, or of such dwellings, or of such liberation. No, Venerable Sir. Then Sariputta, have you encompassed with your mind, my own mind, I being at present the Arahant Sammasambuddha, and known thus, the Blessed One is of such virtue, or of such qualities, or of such wisdom, or of such dwellings, or of such liberation. No, Venerable Sir. Sariputta, when you do not have any knowledge encompassing the minds of the Arahants, Sammasambuddhas, of the past, future and present, why do you utter this lofty, bellowing utterance and roar this definitive, categorical lion's roar? Venerable Sir, I have such confidence in the Blessed One that I believe there has not been, nor ever will be, nor exists at present another ascetic or Brahmana more knowledgeable than the Blessed One with respect to enlightenment. And Venerable Sariputta said, I do not have, Venerable Sir, any knowledge encompassing the minds of the Arahants, Sammasambuddhas of the past, the future and the present, but still I have understood this by inference from the Dhamma. Suppose, Venerable Sir, a king had a frontier city with strong ramparts, walls and arches, and with a single gate. The gatekeeper posted there would be wise, competent and intelligent, one who keeps out strangers and admits acquaintances. While he is walking along the path that encircles the city, he would not see a cleft or an opening in the wall, even big enough for a cat to slip through. He might think, whatever large creatures enter or leave the city, all enter and leave through this one gate. So too, Venerable Sir, I have understood this by inference from the Dhamma. Whatever Arahants, Sammasambuddhas arose in the past, all those blessed ones had first abandoned the 5 hindrances, corruptions of the mind and weakness of wisdom. Then, with the minds well established in the 4 intense states of recollection, they had developed correctly the 7 factors of enlightenment, bojjhangas, and thereby they had awakened to the unsurpassed perfect enlightenment. And Venerable Sir, whatever Arahants, Sammasambuddhas will arise in the future, all those blessed ones will first abandon the 5 hindrances, corruptions of the mind and weakness of wisdom, and then, with the minds well established in the 4 intense states of recollection, they will develop correctly the 7 factors of enlightenment, and thereby they will awaken to the unsurpassed perfect enlightenment. And Venerable Sir, the Blessed One who is at present the Arahant, Sammasambuddha, first abandoned the 5 hindrances, corruptions of the mind and weakness of wisdom, and then with his mind well established in the 4 intense states of recollection, he developed correctly the 7 factors of enlightenment, and thereby he has awakened to the unsurpassed perfect enlightenment. And the Buddha said, Good, Sariputta. Therefore, Sariputta, you should repeat this Dhamma exposition frequently to the monks and the nuns, to the male lay followers and the female lay followers. Even though some foolish people may have perplexity or uncertainty regarding the Tathagata, and they hear this Dhamma exposition, their perplexity or uncertainty regarding the Tathagata will be abandoned. It's the end of the sutta. So, we know that the Venerable Sariputta, even though he does not have psychic power, he is the disciple of the Buddha with the highest wisdom. So when he says that the Buddha is the best Sammasambuddha there is or ever will be, you can believe that our Buddha is one of the most perfect Buddhas. That's why you see his nickname is Angirasa, kinsman of the sun. His brightness surpasses the sun. And we know from the suttas that sometimes whenever these Brahmas in the heavens with wrong view, the Buddha will fly there. There's one sutta where he sat in the air above the Brahma and emitted light so bright. You know, these Brahmas, their brightness also is first class, because these Brahmas, their brightness can reach the minimum, I think, is 1,000 worlds. The brightness can reach 1,000 worlds. And some of them can reach 100,000 worlds. And yet the Buddha goes there, his light surpasses all of them. So his disciples also, following his footsteps also, their psychic power is so great that when the Buddha was sitting in the air, emitting this bright light, 4 of them all flew, surrounded him, and also emitted light. So that's why you see, since our Buddha is one of the most perfect, so the teachings that he has left behind for us is also one of the most perfect. The Buddha says in the Vinaya books, somebody asked him, are all the Buddhas the same? He says, no. Why? Because there are some Buddhas teach very little Dhamma and very little Vinaya. And some Buddhas teach a lot of Dhamma, a lot of Vinaya. So the Buddha says, those that teach little Dhamma and little Vinaya, the sasana, the Buddhist religion, will not last long. But those that teach a lot of Dhamma, a lot of suttas, and a lot of Vinaya, monastic discipline, the sasana, the Buddhist religion, will last a long time. And he also says in the Vinaya books that after the Buddha's entered Nibbana, he depends on his monk disciples to keep the Dhamma wheel turning. So you want to keep the Dhamma wheel turning, the Buddha says that we should teach the Buddha Suttas or any other books. Like some nowadays, some monks want to teach the Abhidhamma, to teach the Visuddhimagga, all this without concentrating on the Suttas. The Suttas are our primary source of the Buddha's words. All the rest are secondary, not so important. So it's very important, as the Buddha mentioned in one of the suttas, I think 20.7 of Samyutta Nikaya, that we should master his suttas and continue to teach his suttas. Then the Buddha's Dhamma wheel will keep rolling.